why Cleopatra was forced to marry her brother, and did anyone dare to oppose it? She was just a teenager. Brilliant, sharp-tongued, already a queen in the making. But the moment her father Ptolemy XII died, Cleopatra's fate was sealed, not with honor, but with a command that still shocks the world today. She was ordered to marry her 10-year-old brother. Why? Who allowed this to happen? And did no one, not one voice, dare to say this is wrong? Before we unravel the political chessboard of incestuous dynasties, power plays, and one of history's most controversial families, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because what you're about to hear is the side of Cleopatra's story they never told you in school. It's a Ptolemaic bloodline, a dynasty of incest. To understand Cleopatra's forced marriage to her brother, you must understand the twisted tradition of the Ptolemies, a Macedonian Greek dynasty that ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years. After Alexander the Great's death, his general Ptolemy the First Soter took control of Egypt. But unlike Egyptian pharaohs, who often married outside their immediate families, the Ptolemies followed an extreme and disturbing rule. Marry your sibling. Always. It was inspired by old pharaonic traditions, but taken to the extreme. Generation after generation, brother married sister, nephew married aunt, uncle married niece. This wasn't for love. It was for power to keep the bloodline pure, to prevent foreign dynasties from rising, and most of all, to ensure no outsider could claim the throne. By the time Cleopatra was born in 69 BC, this practice had been normalized inside the palace, but not outside. Because here's the truth. The people of Egypt, especially native Egyptians, hated the Ptolemies. They spoke Greek, lived lavishly in Alexandria, and showed little regard for Egyptian culture, until Cleopatra uniquely learned to speak the native language. But even as she embraced the people, she was still bound by the throne. When her father died in 51 BC, his will left joint rule to Cleopatra and her younger brother Ptolemy XIII, just 10 years old. And it wasn't just co-rule, it was marriage. Imagine being 18 years old, brilliant, ambitious, and being told your future lies beside your child brother. Not by choice, but by law. If this royal nightmare shocks you, hit like and comment Trapped Queen below, because this was not a fairy tale. It was a political cage. Why no one opposed it? The power of fear. Why didn't anyone stand up? Why didn't Egypt's priests, nobles, or scholars say, this is not right? Because in the Ptolemaic court, fear ruled more than tradition. Anyone who questioned the royal bloodline risked banishment, prison, or execution. Advisors were loyal not to morals, but to survival. And the Ptolemies had long built a system where truth was less important than loyalty. The will of Ptolemy XII had the backing of Rome. The most powerful empire in the world approved. Cleopatra's marriage to her brother, because it kept Egypt stable and easy to influence, and the people, they had no voice, no vote, no rights. The vast majority of Egyptians were peasants. They weren't even considered Greek enough to be part of politics. To them, the palace might as well have been a distant planet. So no one publicly objected. Not because they agreed, but because they were silenced long ago. Cleopatra's silent rebellion, Cleopatra obeyed the will. Publicly, but privately. She began to separate herself from her brother-husband. She made political decisions alone. She issued coins with her face alone. A bold, rebellious act. She dropped Ptolemy's name from state documents. This wasn't just rebellion. It was war. Cold, quiet, and strategic. Cleopatra was showing Rome and her people that she was not a puppet. But her brother's advisors noticed. When Ptolemy XIII came of age, they struck, driving Cleopatra into exile in 49 BC. The forced marriage didn't unite the kingdom. It divided it into a bloody civil war. And that's how we remember it today. Not as a sacred bond, but as the beginning of a brutal power struggle that left Alexandria in flames, the Nile filled with bodies. Cleopatra didn't ask to marry her brother. She didn't want it. She didn't believe in it. But she was born into a dynasty where tradition mattered more than truth and where voices of dissent were buried with the dead. And yet, she didn't break. She adapted, fought, outwitted them all. She would go on to seduce Caesar, battle Octavian, and rewrite history. but the seeds of her fire were planted the day her father sold her future. Comment truth over tradition. If you believe no crown is worth your freedom, subscribe for more untold royal histories that challenge what we thought we knew. Because in the shadows of empires, it's not always the tyrants who leave the deepest scars. It is the traditions they built.